After 18 years of marriage, the wife embarked on a clandestine journey as a surrogate for her sister, leading her husband to seek retribution. A tale of betrayal. I wed Lisa, convinced she was my destined partner. For 6 years, we experienced a consistent, though unremarkable, joy. Our lives revolved around 3 children, 2 of whom were twins, the very heart of our existence in a suburban enclave. We crafted our existence amidst tranquil streets and meticulously manicured lawns. Those early days linger in my memory with a sense of warmth and nostalgia. The stillness of the suburban nights enveloped me in a sense of security, as if we were cocooned in a world where misfortune dared not tread. After a long day at work, we would find our rhythm, laughter echoing through the halls, the twins softly cooing in their cribs, while our eldest ventured to toddle around the living room. Frequently upon my return, the warmth of Lisa's smile illuminated the corridor. She would embrace me with a heartfelt hug, accompanied by a playful quip about diapers or dinner, and in that moment all felt right in the world, so flawless. I never envisioned how swiftly it could all come apart. It all began last year with a solitary decision that Lisa made, without seeking my input. That decision shattered our marriage completely, leaving in its wake nothing but betrayal, fury, and an insatiable thirst for retribution within me. Had anyone suggested to me in those days that Lisa's loyalty might be so fragile, I would have dismissed them as a fabricator. Yet, the reality is that loyalty can dissipate more swiftly than one might imagine when an individual chooses to disregard the significance of their partner. On a fateful night, she unleashed the truth. Her twin sister, Sarah, along with her husband, Kevin, yearned for a child. After years of hardship, Sarah's doctor suggested the path of surrogacy. Lisa envisioned herself as that surrogate. Yet, the impact that genuinely broke me wasn't the concept itself. It was the undeniable truth that she never took the time to seek my counsel beforehand. She had already initiated the process without my knowledge. The moment lingers vividly in my memory, as though it has been carved into my very thoughts. We found ourselves on the couch, side by side in body, yet adrift in the depths of our own musings. A late-night comedy show danced across the screen, lingering in the shadows of memory. Lisa cast a fleeting look my way, her phone poised in her hand, and remarked with an air of nonchalance, "Grant, there's something I've resolved to pursue." The nonchalant quality of her voice triggered a sense of unease within me. Lisa reserved that tone for moments of significant revelation, a declaration she was resolute in delivering. Indifferent to my opinions. My stomach twisted in knots. The television fell silent under my command. I inquired, "What's happening?" Your expression conveys a sense of gravity. With a gentle motion, she tucked the dark strand of hair behind her ear. "I will be the one to carry Sarah's child." My eyelids fluttered momentarily. "Could you clarify what you mean?" Lisa met my eyes, her voice unwavering. "Sarah is unable to conceive a child. She has endured several IVF cycles, yet none have yielded success. The doctors proposed the idea of a surrogate, and given that Sarah and I share the same DNA, I find myself to be an almost ideal candidate. I have already had a conversation with the clinic." Her words came out with such a straightforwardness that, for a fleeting moment, I wondered if she was merely teasing. As I detected the absence of even the faintest smile, my heart began to race. "You've already," I said, swallowing hard. "Lisa, are you telling me that you are expecting Kevin's child?" She released a breath. The offspring of Sarah and the progeny of Kevin. It would be their genetic embryo. I am merely the vessel. My jaw clenched involuntarily. So, when precisely did you come to these conclusions, without sharing them with me? She lifted her chin with a quiet determination. "I anticipated your reaction. This choice stemmed from the deep bond one share with Sarah, my twin. Witnessing her unhappiness is simply unbearable for me. After an extensive discussion with Kevin, I am resolute in my decision. This is indeed the path I wish to pursue." Kevin and I delved into it at length. I reiterated, a seething coil of anger twisting in my gut. "That is wonderful. In the meantime, I stand as your husband, and it was I who discovered the truth last. Can you even begin to comprehend the depths of my emotions?" Her eyes sparkled with irritation. "Grant, I regret to inform you, but ultimately, It is my body that I shall proceed with this endeavor, regardless of your consent. I had hoped for your support. Indeed, I should have shared this with you earlier, yet I was aware that you would attempt to dissuade me, and this matter holds immense significance. For a fleeting moment, words eluded me, my throat constricted with a tempest of rage. Is that all there is? Are you suggesting that I embrace a pregnancy that does not belong to me? To witness you nurture another man's offspring within our home? Do you really believe I will merely smile and applaud? Lisa placed her phone aside, folding her arms across her chest. Can be referred to in any manner you choose. Yet, this is unfolding. Sarah and Kevin are relying on me. If your love for me is genuine, then you'll honor that sentiment. A chilling tranquility enveloped me, more terrifying than sheer rage. Esteem, respect is not demonstrated by catching your husband off guard with a decision that affects the very foundation of our marriage. Your choices extend beyond your own body. They resonate through the fabric of our family. She stood there, her fists tightly clenched. Cease portraying yourself as the aggrieved party. Sarah is part of the family as well, and I am determined to save her. If that eludes your perception, perhaps I have misjudged your capabilities all these years. The last remark pushed me to my breaking point. Did you think too highly of me? Lisa, should you proceed with this, it will undoubtedly fracture our bond. She glided by, her shoulders tense and unyielding. Perhaps we are not as resilient as I once thought. I lingered in the shadows, a tempest of emotions swirling within me, my heart thundering so fiercely that the rush of blood echoed in my ears that I struggled to inhale past the fury. Yet it seemed a treachery so deep that words eluded me. The stillness of the house enveloped me, heavy with the lingering weight of her revelation. Yet, despite my inner admonitions to find tranquility, a deeper understanding lingered within me. All had transformed. The ensuing days were fraught with tension. Lisa candidly shared her experiences regarding doctor's appointments, fertility medications, and implantation timelines. She spoke to me with a casualness that felt more suited for a conversation about grocery lists than the profound implications of surrogacy. The words washed over me, each syllable twisting my stomach in knots. Every reference drove home the reality that she had chosen a path that obliterated any semblance of the partnership we once shared. 2 evenings after she first shared the news with me, I returned home to discover a box from a fertility clinic nestled in our fridge. On the kitchen table, vials of medications, syringes, and instructions lay in disarray. Lisa perused a hefty stack of documents. "What is this all about?" I inquired with a pointed tone, motioning towards the array of items. She cast a fleeting look in my direction. "Hormonal therapies. I must begin them to prepare my body for the embryo transfer." The clinic dispatched them sooner than anticipated. My gaze fixed upon her, a wave of disbelief washing over me. Did you really believe this didn't deserve a discussion? With a casual lift of her shoulders, she dismissed the moment. "I have already conveyed that to you. We have moved beyond our discussions. I am progressing onward." My voice emerged, low yet taut. "Your disregard for my feelings in this matter is evident. It seems you have little concern for the distance you're creating between us. Don't you?" With a dramatic roll of her eyes, she expressed her exasperation. "Cease with the theatrics. After 9 months, I will entrust the baby to Sarah. I'm not suggesting that I'm substituting our children for another. This endeavor is aimed at assisting my sister." We navigated the room as if we were unfamiliar souls, exchanging few words. The children noticed, naturally, and inquired why their parents no longer shared the dinner table side by side. We endeavored to maintain a semblance of civility in their presence, yet an undercurrent of tension permeated every nook of the house. 1 weekend. Lisa's twin sister, Sarah, arrived with Kevin by her side. I discovered them in the living room, perusing baby strollers and a glossy catalog, as if they were the rightful owners of the space. With the children outside engaged in their play, I found no need to uphold the facade of politeness. As I entered the room, Kevin stood up from my recliner. "Grant." "Hey," he uttered with a hint of discomfort. "We were simply making preparations for the arrival of the baby." Lisa caressed her belly, a gentle swell beginning to reveal itself. Kevin and Sarah are determined to ensure that we are ready. There are specific elements within my home that are essential for my comfort. My gaze lingered on her. What prevents Kevin from purchasing all of that for his own home, considering that it will ultimately be the baby's residence? Kevin released a nervous laugh. We believed it would be wise to have supplies on hand during Lisa's pregnancy. I severed the connection. Do not even think of discussing the supplies in my home as if it were your own private nursery. Lisa's cheeks turned a deep shade of crimson. Grant, your demands are quite unreasonable. Do you really think I can endure standing for hours in their stead when I'm feeling nauseated or in need of rest? I reside in this place, Grant. I tightened my jaw. Indeed you do. Yet perhaps Kevin and Sarah ought to demonstrate a bit more respect for me and refrain from treating this house as their headquarters for baby planning. Kevin cast a fleeting look at Sarah, positioned behind the couch, her arms crossed defiantly. Sarah cast a piercing gaze my way. Grant, it's not as if we take pleasure in being here, she remarked. Our aim is to ensure that this experience is as gentle for Lisa as we can manage. My fury ignited fiercely. Allow me to take a wild guess. Do you really think I would just go along with this, perhaps even indulge Lisa's whims, cater to her pregnancy cravings, all for a child that isn't mine? Sarah raised her hands in exasperation. For heaven's sake, we are family. This should not revolve around either of us. It revolves around the essence of mutual support. I squinted my gaze. The essence of family faded when you both ensnared Lisa in this scheme without my knowledge. Kevin released a weary sigh, the weight of frustration evident in his breath. I understand that this situation feels a bit uncomfortable. Awkward barely scratches the surface. I lost my composure. However, if your worries for Lisa run deep, consider creating a cozy nook within your home. Acquire each and every item from that catalog. Please refrain from doing it in this location. Your unannounced visits are becoming a concern that we need to address seriously. Lisa stood, her indignation palpable in the air around her. They cannot be barred from the house. This is my home as well. I betrayed her trust. Perhaps it would have been wise to consider that before choosing to reveal your pregnancy to them instead of your husband. We lingered in silence, our eyes locked in a fierce exchange, until Sarah reached out and seized Kevin's arm. Let's go, she said, her voice trembling with fury. This is unnecessary. They hurriedly made their exit. Lisa spun on her heel, her finger jabbing in my direction. Your behavior resembles that of a child. I trust you understand that you're distancing our children's aunt and uncle, I remarked with a shrug. I would prefer to distance myself from them than allow them to enter my life as though my marriage holds no significance. She departed in a fury, abandoning me to the seething turmoil of anger that had settled into a familiar ache within my core. The ensuing months unfolded into a bleak and monotonous cycle. Lisa's belly swelled with life. She expressed her struggles with morning sickness, persistent backaches, and unrelenting fatigue. She anticipated that I would care. She would casually request, Grant, could you fetch me some crackers from the kitchen? Would you be so kind as to fetch me a pillow for my back? I turned down each and every opportunity. She would hiss, what sort of heartless man are you? How can you stand by and witness the mother of your children endure such suffering without offering any help? I would retort, you are Kevin's stand-in. Allow him to take care of it. If he is unable to, reach out to Sarah. My mind is occupied with various worries, such as nurturing our children and managing the household effectively. She would storm away, frequently in tears, lamenting my harshness. Yet every tear she released landed upon the unyielding surface of my heart. I reminded myself that she had displayed no empathy towards me when she chose to bear another man's child without even a word of discussion. Thus, I extended to her the same consideration. None. She attempted to manipulate my emotions. In the stillness of the night, she appeared at my doorstep, her voice barely a whisper. I can't sleep. My legs are experiencing a painful cramp. Would you mind rubbing them as you did during my pregnancy with our twins? I gazed at her from the threshold, her expression a blend of yearning and optimism. Then I stated plainly no and closed the door before her. My children observed the tension. Our eldest inquired, Dad, why have you stopped embracing Mom? I embraced the harsh reality and spoke softly. At times, adults simply cannot find harmony. Yet, my affection for you remains unwavering, and I shall forever stand by your side. The purity reflected in my child's gaze ignited a fierce desire within me to confront Kevin and Sarah for leading us into this predicament. Yet, above all, it filled me with resentment towards Lisa for allowing it to unfold. As the months slipped away, Lisa's family wove themselves into the unfolding drama. Her mother reached out, her tone laced with a palpable air of superiority. Grant, it's hard to fathom the level of selfishness you're displaying. Lisa is performing a truly remarkable and selfless deed for her sister. How can you possibly refuse her your support? I spoke with an icy detachment. Perhaps you could inquire with your daughter about her reasons for acting without informing me. I am under no obligation to offer her assistance. The infant does not belong to me. Her father resorted to intimidation. A young man, he growled into the phone. You find yourself traversing a shadowy road, fraught with uncertainty. If you choose not to assist Lisa, rest assured that you will come to regret that decision. I allowed a smirk to play on my lips as I gazed at the phone, fully aware that he remained oblivious to my expression. It's quite intriguing, as I find myself regretting the decision to place my trust in your daughter regarding my marriage. Wishing you the best with your menacing declarations. They abruptly ended the call. It was clear to me that the whole extended family regarded me as a creature of darkness. Yet, I was aware that the court would recognize the truth in the facts presented. Lisa carried a child that was not mine, with a portion of the expenses covered by our shared finances, all without my agreement. That responsibility lies with her. One of the most harrowing confrontations unfolded in the 7th month. Lisa, her belly round and weighted, arrived home one evening, burdened with grocery bags. She grappled with the burden, almost letting one slip from her grasp onto the porch. She called out, "Grant, could you lend me a hand? My back is in excruciating pain." I swung the door open, my arms crossed defiantly. "Inquire with Kevin or Sarah," I suggested. "They are the cause of your pregnancy." Her eyes shimmered with unshed tears. Yet, I caught a glimpse of the simmering anger lurking beneath the surface that I recently dedicated several hours at the hospital attending to various checkups. "I find myself utterly drained. I remain your wife whether you appreciate it or not," I scoffed. "Not for an extended period and certainly not in essence. Your point is well understood." With a cry of exasperation, she pivoted and began to haul the bags inside by herself. A few cans tumbled from their resting place, rolling across the porch, yet I remained still. In her frantic attempt to gather everything in one go, she inadvertently bruised her forearm. With a breathless sigh, she placed the groceries on the kitchen table and shot me a glare. "You can't continue to punish me in this way," she spat. I raised an eyebrow in curiosity. "I am not imposing any punishment upon you. I am simply declining to embrace the role of the supportive husband that you discarded." With a hand resting gently on her belly, tears cascaded down her cheeks. "When this child arrives, you may come to regret your indifference," I chuckled, a noise stripped of any joy. "Rest assured I shall not, for in your absence, this child will fade from our existence." She drew in a sharp breath, as though I had dealt her a blow, then marched into the guest room, leaving me in a house that felt oppressively quiet in the wake of the unfolding drama. I released a breath, contemplating whether I had ventured too far. Yet, whenever compassion for her began to waver my determination, I recalled the unilateral decision she had made, one that disregarded the very foundation of our marriage. My anger remained steadfast. As the clock struck past midnight, Lisa found herself unexpectedly thrust into the throes of labor, her 8th month unfolding in a whirlwind of anticipation. Strange sounds echoed in the hallway, accompanied by urgent raps on my bedroom door. "Grant," she cried out, her voice quaking with anguish. "My water has broken. Oh dear, the contractions are beginning to arrive. I would greatly appreciate your assistance." I pushed the door open, revealing her expression twisted in discomfort, her hands pressed firmly against her vast belly. The perspiration clung to her hair, creating a damp, tangled mess that in an instant The recollection of assisting her during the labor of our own children danced briefly in my thoughts. Yet bitterness brushed it away. I refused to take you to the hospital, my voice devoid of warmth. That responsibility belongs to Kevin. Her eyes widened in astonishment. Kevin remains unresponsive. Sarah's phone is directing all calls straight to voicemail. I must reach the hospital immediately. I took a step back, a shrug escaping my shoulders. Summon an ambulance, please. She clutched the doorframe, another wave of contraction surging through her. Grant, I implore you, you cannot simply allow me to endure this torment. Our gazes met in an unspoken connection. Observe her, she faltered, tears streaming down her face. You are devoid of compassion. I offered a brief nod. Such is the consequence of overlooking the emotions of your partner. Wishing you all the best with your little one. I shall return to the comfort of my bed. She released a heart-wrenching sob as I shut the door behind me. In the dimly lit hallway, she stumbled, her fingers frantically searching for her phone, as she likely dialed 911. In a mere 15 minutes, the paramedics made their entrance. The ambulance's lights flickered through my window, casting an urgent glow in the dimness. I could hear the sound of them whisking her away. For a brief moment, guilt clawed at my insides, yet I suppressed it with determination. She had made the decision to overlook my presence. What compels me to hasten to her side when the life she carries is not my own? The following morning, my phone erupted with a flurry of calls from Lisa's mother. Voicemails filled with anguish berated me for leaving Lisa in her time of need during labor. I discarded them all after only a few fleeting seconds of sound. She desired a child for her sister, thus allowing her to lean on her sister's family. Lisa and the baby remained in the hospital for a number of days. The infant, a girl, arrived early but is in stable condition. With Sarah grappling with her own health challenges, Kevin found himself pulled in two directions, darting between the confines of two hospital rooms. Life unfolded in its familiar rhythm. I escorted the children to school, ventured to my workplace, and prepared dinner as the day drew to a close. When Lisa's mother called to inform me that Lisa would be home in a few days, I merely replied, "That's her choice," and ended the conversation. As I immersed myself in a book in the living room, Lisa finally made her entrance. Her complexion was ashen, fatigue etched across her features, and she cradled the newborn in a portable car seat. She lowered the seat, released a deep breath, and settled onto the couch. The infant stirred, releasing a gentle whimper. I gazed at the infant, a small, pink-skinned embodiment of the surrogacy that shattered my marriage. "So," I inquired, my voice sharp, "what brings you here with the baby? Isn't it meant to be with Sarah?" With a gentle flutter, Lisa let her eyelids drift shut. "Sarah remains in the hospital, on the path to recovery from complications." Kevin finds himself engulfed by a wave of emotions. They requested that I care for the baby here for a few weeks. I let out a derisive laugh. They inquired, "Are you volunteering?" Her eyes burned with intensity. "Is there a distinction? Leaving her behind is not an option. She is in such a vulnerable state. You ought to have considered that before choosing to become a surrogate." I remarked, "However, let us be unequivocal. I shall not be moving a muscle. If you find yourself too weary to manage the tears, that is a challenge you must confront." She pressed her fingers to her forehead, a solitary tear tracing a path down her cheek. "Have you always possessed such cruelty? Or was it my influence that led you there?" She whispered, as if she were conversing more with her own thoughts than with me. "That's a question you might ponder in the quiet of the night, amidst the cries of the baby," I replied. "Now, if you'll pardon me, I have actual children to tend to." She recoiled, as if I had struck her, yet remained silent as I turned to begin preparing dinner. Throughout the ensuing month, the nights echoed with the cries of the infant. Lisa would meander about, still in a haze of sleep. Attempting to warm the bottles, she approached me, shadows lingering beneath her eyes, pleading for assistance. Each time I turned it down. "Please," she whispered one night, tears cascading onto the bottle cradled in her hands. "I require a mere 30 minutes to simply recline. The infant has been wailing for what feels like an eternity." I maintained her gaze, steadfast and resolute. Reach out to Kevin, or perhaps your mother. With a frustrated sob, she turned away, the baby's cries reverberating through the hallway. A fleeting pang of regret washed over me for the child that I bore no fault. Yet this was a consequence of Lisa's actions, not my own. I would not grant her an easy escape. Lisa's parents came by frequently, their fingers shaking in my direction, hurling insults that stung. Monster, coward, unfit husband at times. Lisa's father would attempt to trap me in the kitchen. Hear me out, he would declare. One ought to feel a sense of shame. Lisa has recently given birth. She requires a moment of respite. She deserves better than to be left behind. I would cast a piercing glare in his direction. She ought to have considered that prior to disregarding my boundaries. Allow Kevin to take care of the baby. Allow your family to take care of it. Not my child, not my concern. He would storm off, muttering curses beneath his breath. The relentless symphony of disapproval surrounded me, and I bore it with a dark sense of fulfillment. Lisa's family perceived me as devoid of compassion, yet thus far, the legal framework favored my position, particularly when financial matters entered the fray. The divorce process unfolded at a languid pace, yet it gradually progressed. My attorney unveiled proof that Lisa had accessed our shared accounts to cover various surrogacy-related costs, at times even forging my signature. The timeline was meticulously detailed in the court documents. Lisa's blatant dishonesty, her complete disregard for my objections, her manipulation of our shared finances. The judge regarded forgery with a notably harsh perspective. In the midst of it all, Lisa's attorney attempted to portray me as a heartless individual who had forsaken his expectant spouse. However, given that the child was not mine and her surrogacy intentions had been concealed, her claims lacked substantial credibility. Lisa's twin sister and Kevin, in a twist of irony, remained quiet on the matter of finances, likely feeling a sense of relief that they bore no responsibility should Lisa deplete our accounts. Their desire was solely for the baby. However, given Sarah's persistent health challenges and Kevin's precarious employment status, they found themselves unable to secure full custody immediately. The arrival of the baby in our home transformed the atmosphere into a peculiar, fraught situation that was met with disdain by all. Yet we were compelled to tolerate it as we approached the final hearing. Lisa had regained her physical strength, yet she appeared worn and weary, tending to a baby that was not hers to hold on to. In the living room, 2 weeks prior to the court date, she trapped me, the baby peacefully slumbering in a bassinet nearby. I require some financial assistance, she stated with unwavering directness. I lifted my gaze from the screen of my laptop. What purpose does it serve? With a moment's pause, she wrapped her arms around herself. My doctor advises that I concentrate on my recovery after childbirth. It is not necessary for me to secure employment right away. I arched an eyebrow in curiosity. Lisa, you are no longer my concern. Her lips pressed together in a firm line. I am still the mother of your 3 children, she snapped. My focus isn't on the financial aspect of surrogacy. What I need is financial support to sustain my life, to provide for our children when they are in my care, and to cover my portion of the expenses. With deliberate care, I shut my laptop, the screen fading to black. Upon our divorce, I will fulfill my legal obligation to provide child support for our children. I will not be providing you with spousal support. Her eyes sparkled with intensity. I am entitled to a sense of financial stability. I relinquished my body, my ease. For your sister, I interjected. It simply doesn't resonate with me. Therein lies the distinction. Her voice quivered. Your cruelty knows no bounds. Do you not see the weight of my struggle with postpartum depression? My gaze lingered on her. My concern lies with our children, rather than the baby that is biologically Kevin's or the postpartum situation you brought into the conversation. You crafted this reality, Lisa. Now embrace it. She sealed her lips, a tide of tears beginning to gather. You'll regret it, she declared, her voice trembling with a mix of fury and heartbreak. I gently shook my head, a silent gesture of disbelief. That sentiment has crossed your lips previously. Our sole lament lies in the fact that we find ourselves entangled in this predicament. She swallowed hard, her gaze flickering toward the infant. Grant, it pains me to express this, But you are not the person I once knew. A hollow laugh escaped my lips. You are no longer the woman I once wed. Life evolves, Lisa. She strode off, abandoning me to the stillness. The infant continued to slumber, unaware of the chaos that surrounded it. In the final week leading up to the court date, Lisa made the decision to relocate, bringing the baby to her mother's home until Sarah regained her health and could take custody once more. In a whirlwind of urgency, she hastily packed, the sound of boxes clattering echoing in the air, while tears streamed down her cheeks as she meticulously folded her clothes. The children, filled with uncertainty, inquired whether mother was departing for good. She endeavored to comfort them, promising that their paths would cross frequently, that her love for them remained unwavering. They nodded, yet a heaviness of sorrow lingered on their small faces. On the day of her departure, she lingered in the foyer, the baby carrier resting at her feet, a modest suitcase clutched in her hand. Her gaze met mine, the edges of her eyes tinged with crimson. Once more, Grant, I kindly request that you refrain from proceeding with this action. Please refrain from finalizing the divorce. I shall discover a means to mend the situation. Kindly. A peculiar pull resonated within my chest, yet I allowed it to fade away. Repair the past by rewinding the clock? For that is the sole path forward. The actions you took cannot be reversed. A single tear traced a path down her cheek. Never did I envision a world without you. My intention was solely to assist Sarah. I nodded, a tinge of bitterness coursing through me. Your assistance to Sarah came at a cost, one that has left our marriage in ruins. Farewell, Lisa. With a deep breath, she grasped the baby carrier and stepped outside, the door closing softly behind her, its click echoing in the stillness of the vacant home. I shut my eyes, releasing a tremulous breath. For the first time, a sensation resembling relief washed over me. We found ourselves on the brink of conclusion. On the day of the final court proceedings, Lisa found herself seated at a table alongside her attorney. I found myself seated once more, accompanied by my own presence. In the gallery, Kevin and Sarah stood side by side, their faces mirroring a shared sense of unease. The judge, a woman of stern countenance, had meticulously examined all the documents. Lisa's attorney delivered a poignant address, recounting the tale of her abandonment during pregnancy and painting a picture of my supposed emotional cruelty. My attorney laid out a meticulously crafted timeline. Lisa proceeded with the surrogacy decision independently, without seeking my approval. She utilized our shared finances for the procedure and falsified my signature to make it happen. I had consistently expressed my refusal and established a boundary that she chose to overlook. As the judge addressed the court, her words were delivered with a sharp precision. She perceived Lisa's actions as a clear violation of the sanctity of our marital bond. She understood that the infant did not belong to me. Thus, I bore no financial or parental responsibilities. In terms of spousal support, she found no justification for me to make payments, particularly in light of Lisa's mismanagement of finances. The judge granted me primary custody of our 3 children. Lisa was granted visitation rights, contingent upon her ability to demonstrate a stable environment. In the end, she was instructed to reimburse a portion of the marital funds that had been misappropriated. As the judge pronounced her verdict, a wave of despair washed over Lisa, her expression collapsing into a mask of anguish. She felt the warm tears cascade down her cheeks. With one hand pressed to her mouth, her shoulders trembled subtly. Kevin and Sarah shared a glance filled with shock. My heart pounded in my chest, yet the prevailing sensation was one of vindication. The culmination of my vengeance was finally achieved. I had turned my back on the wife who had deceived me, and the law stood in my favor. We ventured into the corridor beyond the courtroom. Lisa drew near, her eyes puffy and red. "Grant," she whispered, her voice quivering with emotion. "This was never my desire. I apologize. I genuinely am. I erred, yet I never anticipated you would sever our connection in such a manner." I looked at her, recalling the evenings I had begged her to reconsider, her scornful replies, her unwavering pride. "You chose to prioritize Kevin and Sarah's needs over our own, and you were dishonest about it. That transcends mere error. It shattered our very essence, She exhaled sharply, a breath torn from her lungs. My heart longs for the day when you might find it in yourself to forgive me. My gaze held an icy detachment. You have replicated my signature without my consent. Your ears were closed to my pleas as I implored you to reconsider this course of action. Forgiveness is not easily granted. Farewell, Lisa. Sarah inched nearer, her fingers reaching out to rest on my arm. Grant, can't you perceive her sense of regret? She accomplished it for my sake. I swiftly pulled my arm back. You have attained your desire, Sarah. The child belongs to you. Now you can confront the consequences. If you believe Lisa is worthy of it, you and Kevin have the opportunity to lend her your support. I have reached my limit. They remained frozen in silence as I made my way toward the door. The corridor seemed to radiate light as I moved forward, as though a heavy burden had been released. In the weeks that followed the final decree, Lisa took up residence with her mother, the baby remaining in her care until Sarah had fully regained her strength. Each time I encountered Lisa during the custody exchanges of our 3 children, she appeared delicate, burdened by a sense of regret. She would inquire about the well-being of the children, and I would respond with courtesy, yet maintain a certain distance. She cast me forlorn glances, as though anticipating a gesture of tenderness that I provided nothing. In time, Kevin and Sarah embraced the responsibility of nurturing their little one. Whispers circulated that they were in dire financial straits. With Kevin's hours slashed at work and Sarah's hospital bills mounting, the weight of their struggles grew heavier. Lisa, her finances in disarray, grappled with the challenge of securing a stable job. Once the tension dissipated from our home, my children began to flourish. We settled into a serene cadence. Days spent in classrooms, adventures on weekends, cozy evenings with family and films. The nights are now free from the wails of a restless infant, allowing for peaceful slumber once more. The echoes of unspoken battles in the corridors must cease. From time to time, Lisa would reach out through texts or emails, sharing her regrets, reflecting on how she had never anticipated Kevin's unreliability or the persistent health struggles faced by Sarah. She remarked that the experience of being a surrogate ultimately hadn't benefited anyone in the end.it, had merely spawned further turmoil. I provided courteous, succinct responses, focusing solely on the schedules and needs of our children. On a particular day, my eldest offspring gazed up at me, engrossed in the colorful world of Legos. Father, do you still hold affection for Mother? I halted, sinking to my knees beside them. My concern for her stems from her role as your mother. Yet there are moments when adults evolve, leading to a fracture in trust. They appeared to embrace the situation, retreating to their colorful plastic bricks. The matter settled within their thoughts. Children possess a remarkable candor. It's one reason I hold them close to my heart. What you see is what you get, devoid of any facade or ulterior motives. Months flowed seamlessly into a year. With the divorce now a distant memory, a sense of liberation washed over me. I retained the home, secured a steady position, and maintained primary custody. Lisa floated through the children's lives, never fully finding her place again. Kevin and Sarah welcomed their new baby, yet the story unfolding was far from a fairy tale. Amidst the weight of medical bills, disputes over finances loomed large, leaving scant moments to extend a helping hand to Lisa. She sought the support of her parents, who were prepared to assist, but only to a certain extent. Questions arose from time to time, asking why assistance was not offered to her following the birth. It was clear that she was engulfed by her emotions, and I would respond, she chose a path that left me out, and now she must confront the repercussions. They frequently shook their heads, deeming me merciless. It is possible that I was. In the realm of marriage, the pillars of respect and honesty stand as essential foundations. She displayed neither. Ultimately, my quest for retribution transcended the realms of violence and public disgrace. It was a matter of allowing her to confront each and every consequence of her decision, in solitude. I retracted the support she had come to assume was unwavering, allowing her to witness the harsh reality that unfolded when she overlooked her husband's trust. The judge aligned with my perspective, as did the unforgiving truths of existence. If you were to inquire about my feelings regarding the ruthlessness I displayed, my answer would be a resolute no. Lisa struck the first blow with her betrayal. I reciprocated by granting her precisely what she sought: autonomy. There are no shared finances, no emotional support, and no delusions that our marriage would endure through a pregnancy I never agreed to. Ultimately, I emerged with my freedom and my children, while she was left to contend with the selfless act that fractured our union. That is the tale of how the journey of surrogacy for her sister transformed Lisa from my cherished wife into a mere stranger, and how I discovered my own contentment in refraining from rescuing her from the consequences of her own decisions. If that is deemed cruel, then cruelty became the cost of my dignity, a cost I was more than prepared to bear.